Welcome back. Outkick's Clay Travis getting a big interview with SEC Network host and college football analyst Paul Finebaum, and it's making a ton of news this afternoon. Clay joins me now. Congratulations, Clay. First of all, you have this sit-down interview with my former colleague, our mutual friend Paul Finebaum, and he made a lot of news. And let's start with this. He told you about a moment in the past 5 years, 6 years, where he wanted to interview President Donald Trump, and this is what he was told by ESPN.
What do you think would happen if you told ESPN, hey, I'm going to have President Trump on my radio show?
I almost did that once.
What happened?
You remember the 2019 game, LSU and Alabama?
Oh, yeah.
I reached out to a friend of mine in D.C. He said, you want to get Trump? I said, yeah. He said, I think we could do it at the White House Thursday morning. Can you get there? I said, yeah, I can get there. I called my boss, and they killed it. I was devastated. They told me that we are not allowed to mix politics with sports.
What do you think they would have said if it were Barack Obama and you had the opportunity to interview him?
I think the answer is pretty evident that Andy Katz went to the White House
every year for the bracket.
So it wasn't about politics at all.
Yeah.
It was just about the idea of going to the White House to interview the President of the United States. And it wasn't about politics.
Yeah.
It was about
the game that he was going to attend.
Game. The biggest game of the year in college football.
Clay, I remember Barack Obama making his March Madness picks on ESPN, but apparently they wouldn't let Paul Finebaum talk about football with President Trump.
Yeah, and look, Will, you remember this game, 2019. Trump went to the game, which was the reason they were talking about interviewing him. It was Tua against Joe Burrow. It was one of the biggest games in the history of the SEC. LSU won it, went on to win the national championship that year. And as Finebaum himself points out, Andy Katz showed up every year with Barack Obama and let him pick the NCAA tournament. They wouldn't let Paul Finebaum interview Donald Trump. And look, he says he's a Trump voter. You're going to play this clip. He's talking about running for the Senate. But I think he's just frustrated as what he sees as a clear double standard inside of Disney, inside of ESPN, when it comes to when they can and cannot mix politics, something that you had a little bit of an experience with, Will, better than anybody probably could speak about.
Well, you mentioned the clip. This is news as well that you got from Paul Finebaum, that he might now be interested in politics. Watch.
I am a registered Republican in North Carolina as of this hour, and I was a registered Republican in Alabama before I moved. One or two people in Washington had reached out to me about whether I would be interested in politics, something I'd never thought about before. Something I didn't really think possible. I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. I wasn't there wasn't a lane there to get involved. But and I gave some thought to it as this weekend unfolded with Charlie, and got a little bit more interested. It is very intriguing. I am thinking about it constantly.
Clay, why is Paul sharing all of this with you at Outkick? I know Paul decently, not really well. He was never that interested in speaking openly about politics, not afraid of controversy, mainly about college football. But why is he interested in talking to you about all of this at Outkick?
I think, honestly, I've known him for 20 years, so we've had a good relationship. I consider him to be a friend. I've gone on his show a lot over the years, back when we were local sports talk radio guys. I think he trusts me to be fair with his story and to get it out there. I think he's going to run, Will. I think he's going to run in Alabama. And part of that interview, he mentioned Charlie there. He's talking about Charlie Kirk. I think the assassination of Charlie Kirk deeply moved him. And he, like many people out there watching us right now, he says, along with tens of millions of other people, he watched the Turning Point USA event. He's watched all of the coverage of Charlie Kirk. He's on college campuses with young people all the time, much like Charlie was as a part of his job with the SEC Network. And I think he wants to be a constructive voice going forward when he sees a lot of things that are broken. Will, you know this. It's a big deal that he came out and said, hey, I'm a Trump voter inside of ESPN. Yes. There aren't very many of those people that have done so publicly. I think it's a sign of the profound cultural shift we're seeing across the country.
Well, great job. Well, I mean, it's an incredible interview. It's up at Outkick.com. We appreciate you sharing with us here first, Clay, but congratulations. A great interview with Paul Feinbaum.
Appreciate it, Will. Keep up the good work. See you next week.
Amen. All right, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.